Pull up a chair and join us, Sat7 UK, as we bring together voices from across the UK, the Middle East and North Africa for honest, hopeful and thought-provoking conversation. No headlines, no sound bites, just real people, real stories and bold ideas that just might challenge the way we see the world. So, grab your headphones, settle in, it's time to join us around the table. Hello, welcome to Around the Table. I'm so excited to welcome our guests to the podcast today. We have joining us two young presenters. We have here in the studio with us Ilya Azad, presenter of Sat7 Par's show Generation of Hope. And from Sat7 Kids, we have joining us online Tia Ghali, presenter of In His Image. So excited that you're both joining us today. Thank you so much for being here. And as an extra fun note, we are in the Par's studio today.
We are.
In London. So that explains why we are in a slightly different setup. But yeah, really exciting to be here. And it's like the first on the road episode of Around the Table.
Yes.
So, Ilya and Tia, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourselves, how you came to start presenting on Sat7?
Yeah, first of all, hello, I'm Ilya. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to come here and talk about just young people and the situation right now in Middle East. So I was always in drama. And we had a Christmas play in our church in North London. It's an Iranian church. And so, yeah, I performed good, I guess. And the producer of the Generation of Hope was there at that time because he's Iranian too and obviously Christian. And he talked a little bit with me and about if I could do that, and I said yeah, sure. And then that's how I slowly came into that and into presenting.
Starting from that. Wow, a lot to answer for that Christmas presentation, that Christmas production.
I'm interested, who did you play? Who was you?
So it was we thought it's like boring every year the same thing. Jeez, baby Jesus, Mary, Joseph. So this time it was like I was a car dealer. We did it a bit a modern version. Okay. I was a car dealer on the way. I think the three people star what they
the wise men.
Yeah, the wise men that followed the star and Jesus' birth. I think I sold the car to them. And it was a bit so they had, I think something happened to their at that time. I think they had something for transport, but it wasn't a car. It was like a I don't know, like a horse or something.
Very
And I sold them a Tesla, I think.
Oh, a Tesla!
Yeah, and
I need to watch this Christmas production.
You need to, and it was that, and I played two different acted two different characters. Yeah,
right.
So I think one was the car dealer and the other one was a barkeeper, if I'm correct. Yeah, it was a bit modern and. Yeah.
Sounds very interesting.
It sounds like the Third Lobster, you know?
Yeah, very different.
Yeah.
I love it. And how about you two? How did you start getting involved in presenting in Sat7 and...
My story is not as interesting as Ilya's, but I think mine is a cute story because I was very young when my sister was the star presenter of Sat7 Kids in the older days. She's 14 years older than me, okay? So imagine I'm 5 and she's, I can't do the math, wait, 19.
Yeah.
And then so I watch her make a lot of shows and host a lot of programs, and I'd be sitting at home watching her. So I went and I was like, I want to do just like you. I want to have my own program. And then everybody was thinking what a 5-year-old could start doing. But 2 years later, I started taking place in very little videos, something like acting sometimes or singing sometimes. It was very cute because I was tiny. And then when I got a little older, I think by the age of 12, I started my first TV program as a host. It was an amazing experience. For 4 years, every single Friday we went live, and the biggest challenge was that it was live too. It wasn't only.
Yeah.
So I was like a kid who knows nothing about. No, I knew a little bit, but very. I wasn't very. Skilled at the time. I was just a little shy and a little careless, but they just showed me so much love and kept encouraging me, the team and everyone. So I just loved this place more and more every day, to the point where today I enjoy just being around them and making things and programs together. So that's my story.
That's a very wholesome story. I
Yeah.
like it, cute. We normally start our conversations with like a light-hearted question to help us get to know our guests and before we sort of dive in. So our question today: are you a sweet or savoury person? What is your go-to?
Ooh.
I am savoury. Yeah, I'm savoury. I'm not. I don't care for desserts.
Really?
No, I'm not crazy about cakes and brownies, but
So you ask, are we a sweet or
savoury.
savory? That's actually a hard question. Yeah. I would say I'm savory. Yeah.
Savoury?
Yeah.
You know, I think I am as well.
Savory too.
Yeah.
Oh, savoury.
Okay, that surprises me. I feel
Okay,
like you
yeah.
never get all savoury.
Yeah, I'm usually the only person
Yeah.
that savoury. So interesting.
What are you, Sophie? Savory or sweet?
Yeah, I think I'm savoury.
Yeah.
I think, you know, if
Ooh,
you're really hungry and you really fancy some food,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
usually like food, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Although I love a crumble. I can't go wrong with an apple
I did
crumble.
have a lot of that over Christmas. So that was, yeah.
Crumble is my favourite, but other than that, I'm not huge on. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like a good dessert, but I'm not huge on dessert.
Yeah.
Definitely
I agree.
savoury. Anyway, so that's really taken me back. I was taking me by surprise. So today we're thinking about youth and what it means to be young in the Middle East and North Africa, and the experience of young people. And the statistics suggest that between 55 and 70% of the population is under 30. Now, of course, that depends on where exactly you are thinking about in the region. But given that the average is something like 23 to 29%, that's a huge population of youth in the region, right? So it's a really topical point. It's a really important thing for consideration for the region. It really affects, you know, their policy and the job market, the economy, young people's experience growing up. So I feel like it's a really important topic for us to be talking about today. So we have two people who are youth from the region. What do you think it means to you personally to be young in the Middle East and North Africa today?
I think especially in the Middle East, I'm sure it's quite similar in North Africa. It's really hard to be a young person because sometimes, not sometimes, like if I talk about Iran and if I talk about Afghanistan and these areas, you don't have access to schools, you don't have access to some things maybe normal for us. You wake up, you do like morning routine, you do your stuff, and then you go to work, you go to school, or like to, I don't know, whatever you do. But young people in Iran, they don't have they have access to school, but poor education system. And it's like how it was 500 years ago here in the UK. So is a table that poor people become like even more. It becomes worse, and like rich people become richer every day, and so you don't have any opportunities. You finish your school. Some people may go if they finish school, they may go find a job, but they have to start with the hardest jobs and maybe like cleaning, or if you want good jobs, if you have no contacts and if you don't have money. I'm talking about like normal people, or if you have like if you say, oh, I want to study, you go to study, and after the studies, after uni, after your masters, you go to somewhere to get a job, and they say you don't have experience. So what should the young people do? And if they don't have contacts, if they don't have money, it's really bad. It looks really bad for them, and yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah, I think trying to think of being like young people in the UK, right?
Yeah.
School education is such a huge part of daily life
Yeah.
that it's so hard to imagine
Not having.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one thing that is also like, as a young person in the UK, even if you don't go to work, even if you don't have education, you get something from the government to live. In Iran and in Middle East, it is not like this. If you don't make your own money, then you don't have money. And so it's really hard because like the government is not helping you at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Tia, what do you think personally?
Honestly, I've been waiting for you guys to ask me this question because I feel like I'm very tiny to answer this question. I'm not sure if I know all the details about how everybody, like the majority of Egypt, for example, are underprivileged people. And so I feel like it would be unfair for me to speak on everybody's tongue. But I would agree on a couple of points that Eli was talking about. Because we have common grounds here and there.
Yeah.
But I would also say that one of the hugest things I think the youth are struggling with currently is the identity crisis. And because of all the social media and how we want to be like others and not discovering our roots and who we are and what is the potential that we can reach within the given opportunities around us, even if they're limited, but just trying to be something we're not and looking for our identity in places that we will not find anything valuable in is one thing that I really am discovering day by day. Because I'm 20, I don't really know the deepest details, but I've went around a lot with my family in a lot of simple and countries around. I serve in a church that is one of the biggest churches in Egypt, so it's an honor to see many diverse people coming from different backgrounds. But I also realized that being a 20-year-old in Egypt is challenging, but it's a blessing that there's a lot of efforts coming from the church in Egypt. And I don't mean my church, I mean churches in Egypt to like push youth and help them figure out where and how they should act towards everything that's happening and try to make them a little more knowledgeable and even if many things lack to teach us about many different topics, church really tries to take that initiative and do so. So it is definitely a huge challenge, and I'm not sure how challenging it could be to different people, but I know that God is working, and I see the hope, even if it looks a little dark out here and it looks like it's not going anywhere better, but I know deep inside that something is going somewhere.
Lovely, like positive, encouraging.
Yeah, I really love that. I really love that.
It's
But
true, isn't it?
sorry, I was going to say I'm sure probably here in Egypt it's a little easier. That's why our answers are a little different. And it's not because I'm trying to make everything positive, because I've learned a couple of years ago that like wearing the pink glasses on and just trying to see everything like Barbie is not the way to make things. It's not the solution. It's just we want to look with eyes of hope and faith, but reality is challenging. Yes, that's very true.
Yeah, you make a really good point there, Tia. Like the region is a big region, right? It's very diverse, and there are huge differences within the region. You know, it's not a monoculture.
Exactly.
And even though sort of across the entire region, the UN estimates that there are about 30 million children out of education, that doesn't mean that people or children struggle to access education in every single one of those countries, right? The challenges, though many, that young people face in the region are diverse and they differ, right? It's really tricky, isn't it? Because you mentioning earlier about Iran and Afghanistan, and conflict really decreases access to education, doesn't it?
But one thing that Tia mentioned, which is really important when we compare Northern Africa and Middle East, is that in Iran, in Afghanistan, as I'm talking especially about Iran, you're not allowed to be a Christian. You're not allowed to go to church. Is a Muslim country, and you need to be a Muslim. And if you're not a Muslim, you will get persecuted. And I know people right now who are in jail because of their faith in Iran. And I know people that want to need to be stressed and need to go in some hidden places to worship God with 5 people. And it is not like, open church, one of the biggest churches, and you can go there, you can worship, you can pray, and we Christians, we are together and we pray. It is not like this. In Iran, you get persecuted. One of the things, Mama, so I was born in Iran, grew up there. I was there until I was 6 or 7 years old, and then we had to move because my mom was getting persecuted because of her faith, and that is a big thing that the Islamic Republic is making it worse in Iran. And I hope if there is freedom, I'm 100% sure that right now I know that there are about 5 million Christians in Iran, and so it's a really blessed country, in terms of Christianity, and in terms of 1 million people saw Jesus in their dreams and had a dream about Jesus in the past 10 years, and that is when you're a Muslim with a Muslim background. And I'm really sure that right now the revolution is going on, and people are really trying to move the Islamic Republic and bring back the king, the Shah. And I think if there is, I hope if there is freedom in Iran soon, the situation will change, because that Christianity will become a big thing and important thing.
Do you feel quite hopeful about the future?
Yes, absolutely. So right now there is a revolution going on. I don't know if you know it or not. And so the whole Iran is... so in January there were from the 1st to 10th of January, millions of people are on the streets and protests against the regime and trying to move them, and 12,000 people were killed in 3 days, which is really sad if you compare it to other stats. And they are really... you're speechless. So you're a mom, your child gets killed in the protest, you go to get the dead body, and they say you need to pay $19,000 to just get their dead bodies, or say that they were from the regime and other people killed them. So either you lie, or you can come with $15,000 and you bring us a cake. So imagine you're a mother and you're teenage 25-year-old who has no hopes, who knows that if she goes in to the streets, fight against civilians with their hands, fighting against the police and the regime with guns, they know they have nothing to lose. They know they don't have a future. They know that right now the Iranian currency has been removed. So 1 real is worth nothing. So it has been collapsed, and the people know, the young people under 30, 35 know that they have nothing to lose because they have no opportunities. That's why they're going out in the street and just trying to win Iran back from this 47-year-old hard life.
Yeah, it's unthinkable, isn't it, to try and put yourself in that situation where it's the everyday lived experience for so many people. It just completely... it's just shocking, isn't it? It's so hard to think about and to put yourself in that situation. But sadly, that is the lived reality for so many people.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because these issues like access to education or good quality education, unemployment, social expectations and things, they obviously impact society as a whole, but they really impact the lives of young people and how young people think about the future that they have for themselves, how they can imagine life going forward. And that obviously, as you were mentioning earlier, really affects how they kind of encounter their day-to-day. and specifically how those issues affect young people, affects how they see the world, and how you mentioned here about young people often struggling with a sense of identity and a sense of belonging. Of course, it's a broad region, and we can't kind of speak to the entirety in one go, but how do you feel that these tensions kind of show up in the day-to-day lives of young people, thinking about, you know, their social expectations, but thinking about their own cultural heritage and their own identity, and the kind of modernity, and how these things fit together, how their access to education impacts the way they see the future. I know, just curious to kind of dive into a little bit more about how this tension shows up in young people's lives, just in the everyday and the mundane.
I have a very tiny example in mind, but I'm not sure if I really get your question, so I'll just keep on going and you help me a little more. But I've been noticing lately, in the last couple of years, how Egyptians, so something very well known about Egyptians, that they're very hostable and very like they would support one another. If somebody has a car crash, everybody would park their cars on the right and then just go and help them. They have a strong heart that we want to be united and everything. But I've been noticing the last couple of years that people have been trying to be individualistic more than together. Even when you see a car crash, in older days, I would like notice like the street is blocked because of people trying to help, not because of the car crash. But lately it's been very different, and maybe how the hospitality is going around as a culture has been a little less, because I think people are stressed about financials. Youth are not very hopeful about their future, although there are a lot of people who are trying to do their startups and try to have their own businesses because this is the trend that's going nowadays. But I feel like there's something about our identity that has been stolen of us because of how warm we were together and how safe we felt. Even though anything happened, we're together, we'll support one another. Something is being stolen bit by bit, and I don't know what the core is and why it's happening, but I feel like this is being stolen. Am I answering the question?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, because I think that's something that we see in the West as well, isn't it? That society can be very individualistic, and people can be very kind of centered on the nuclear, right, rather than the society as a whole. But it's interesting because I think people in the West might assume that that's not the case in other parts of the world. So it's interesting that same kind of pattern, that you're observing that same pattern possibly. I'm sure it's not, like, culture is very different and things, and maybe it doesn't play out in quite the same ways, but that's really interesting. And I think sometimes maybe these are related to elements of modern day life, right? Like, you know, all the way across the world, we have the internet, we have social media, we have technology use, and it's so ubiquitous, and it does really impact society and general human behavior. But specifically for young people, technology, social media is such a huge topic, isn't it? I mean, in the West, countries like the UK, Australia, there's talk, or there have been actions to ban social media for under 16s. Do you feel like that is something that is helpful, or is it maybe taking the wrong approach to a problem or a phenomenon that needs a different angle?
Well, this is actually a good question if you think about it. But I think the people, or like the teenagers, that will still come around. Like, if you're not, I don't know, instill somehow use social media. But I think it's a good point, because right now we see, if we talk about the UK and Western countries, many children, or like teens, you see someone is 5 years old and he's scrolling on TikTok the whole day, and these short videos that goes to your mind decreases the amount of like if you, it's not like a movie that 1.5 hours, for example, the same thing. So 30 seconds. All kinds of videos that come up. For example, if I'm talking about these type of short videos, they're not really good for the brains, for the mental health. And also, like, one thing that is really popular that people like to like compare themselves to other people, other people's lifestyle, other people's health, other people's bodies, and which makes them lose their focus on themselves. And I think this is banning social media for people under 16s is a good idea, but I think that won't work because people will still come around and make their own way to like waste their time.
Waste their time. No, I it's hard because banning social media would be obviously quite an extreme action to take.
Yeah.
But then I think we also can't deny the benefits to reducing or just finding a way to manage how social media is used and how we're engaging with social media, especially young people. I think one of the issues that I've seen is people don't understand just general social interactions. Like young people are so consumed by what they're engaging with on these different social media platforms that human connection is challenging. And sometimes you have young, teenagers, youth who actually find it difficult to hold conversations in person because of the worlds that they've kind of built and designed for themselves online. And so it's like they're living in this virtual reality and then placed in positions where they have the opportunity to physically interact and can't, which I'm thinking, okay, we need to find a way to manage social media. I don't think banning it would be best, because I do think there are positive parts of using social media, and it can be used as a tool. Access to education, just even look at what Sat7 is doing and different things that we're doing to educate, to raise awareness, to encourage, to share the love of Christ and different things of that nature. But we can't deny that social media is
100%
presenting some problems.
I was actually thinking of the question because it's very deep, but I'm thinking of it from another angle. Like everything, like AI, for example, it's coming one way or another. We can't stop it. So social media has the same impact. But the thing is that the secular plays are super skilled at making everything look very glamorous to the target audience. We as Christians lack a bit of experience and training in how to make things look precious too. Like Jesus deserves to be to have like a beautiful way to present him to people, because this is how people will get to know him from different areas that we can't reach. But I think because of how unskilled we as people who are working in places like, I don't mean Sat7, I mean every entity or program that is trying to tell people the news of the gospel and who Jesus is, sometimes we don't have enough training. We're not as skilled as people who are in the secular area. And also I would say, like, there are professionals that can come help us and train us, but sometimes there's that struggle of we don't have enough money to get them to help us learn more about how to use, or sometimes we can't pay good salaries to people who are Christians that are very skilled and can help us, but these people need to have a settled life, so they can't come work with Sat7. I don't mean Sat7 again, replace, like, I mean every Christian entity that works to serve the Lord, but sometimes we don't have the chance to either use the help of others or train ourselves to become better, because everything has a price, kind of.
It's such a good point that we almost have a responsibility as Christians to use social media, to use AI, whatever kind of platform, whatever it is that we're talking about, to use it, I don't want to say for good because that sounds really reductive, but you know what I mean, to share the love of Christ and to share something.
Share the gospel.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's like how Mary has mentioned it. It's like how we use social media. If we like use it for like spread the gospel or like motivation or I don't know, like positive things to our life, but like not things that may not really help us. Yeah, that's one thing.
Absolutely. And I think we also see how digital platforms can be used to, I don't want to say give young people a voice, but to raise up the voice of young people, not just for entertainment and scrolling purposes, right? But there's something else in there. And both of you, that's your jobs, right? You work in this, every week, day in, day out. And I guess it's not really a question, more of a reflection, but just thinking about how we can support young people to share their voice, to share their perspectives, their lived reality, because sometimes as one ages, one can be a bit removed from one's youth. And it's really important that we, I had somebody the other day saying, let's stop saying we're inspired by young people. Let's actually empower young people. Let's give young people the skills, the tools, the platform to do what it is that they want and need to do, right? Stop sort of giving it lip service and saying, I was so inspired by a young person. But okay, well, you inspired me. Get
do
up
something.
and do what it is. I'm going to step back and make space for you.
I've noticed as well in turn, when you operate in that way, you, just to your comment, you actually end up feeling younger as well, because you're immersing your world, you're immersing yourself into the young person's world or the young people's world. And so it's beneficial. It helps. It's like, okay, we're doing this together. We're investing in the future generation. And that's really important. Like, we need to do more of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I add something?
Please.
Because I'm really thinking again in my answer, and I don't mean only financial support, because that's precious, but I've seen the staff that works above me, they pour everything into me that they know. They teach me all, and they try to support me as much as they know. But again, there's a limit to what they've reached because of the limit that's above their heads. So I want you to ask again, Sophie, if you could, the question that you just asked, because I didn't really understand it. But what you were just saying inspired me, that I want to raise, I want the generations to help one another. And there's that line between us and them that's making something not work somehow. But I really think that their support is helping, and we need to help them support us more. And we need to be more open for them to support us. And so we can all enjoy this unity.
Absolutely, like intergenerational, collaboration, communication. It's so important, isn't it? And each generation has something different to contribute to the next. And you made a really good point, Tia, about how the older generation can support the younger generation. And I just want to open that up, really. How do you feel that young people could, or what do you feel young people would get most value from in terms of support? Like, what could older generations do that would really help support young people?
So I think when we talk about these things, trust is a really big thing, because if we, as like older people, if we put that trust in the 11-year-old who's trying to learn and come, as Tia said, she was, I think, 5 years old when her older sister was having her own program, hosting her own program. And the trust we do, like in the Middle East, like for example, she said, Dad, I really like the country. You're too small, you don't understand that, you have to. But for example, if I want to use an example, in our church, we have an Iranian church, is a quite large church, so is worldwide in the Iranian Christian community. And we have the cameras and media team, and then I'm in the media team as well. And in the media team, we have someone who's 11 years old, and he's doing the whole camera. So the things that thousands of people see online every week, the service, he's doing the camera, he's changing the angles, he's staying there with us and putting in the effort. And he's also really talented. And so that's how we know they can do it, but it's just that for me, like, it's the trust and the motivation, like, as Tia also said, it's not just a financial thing, but from your heart on, you say, oh, I'm 100% sure you can do it, I believe that you can do it, God is with you, and just giving that motivation. And like, they put that, so some people understand it a bit earlier, like him, he's 11, he's doing something for the church, but more important, doing something for God, and spreading the gospel. Or like, some people also like understand it a bit later, and like, it's important that we like trust them and like try to help them.
I love that response of
Yeah,
trust.
trust.
Yeah.
That's
To
amazing.
give young people the opportunity and the space and the responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing, an 11-year-old operating the cameras for such a big
Yeah,
operation.
exactly.
But you mentioned earlier, Ilya, about laughing at me, getting tongue-tied. You mentioned about young people getting lots of education, or maybe not getting lots of education, but then either way struggling to get into the job market because they don't necessarily have the experience.
Yeah.
But unless we open the doors to young people,
Yeah.
they're never going to get that experience, are they?
Yeah.
And so giving young people that opportunity, and also I feel like there can be some maybe unhelpful stereotypes or narratives sometimes around young people, but young people, as much as older people, want the opportunity to get involved, to contribute, and we should allow young people that space and that opportunity to do so, right?
Yeah. And I think particularly with, for example, like in the region, or let's take Iran, for example, like opening up those opportunities would be incredibly helpful, because it takes away the potential of a young person focusing on something that they shouldn't really be engaging in, or they shouldn't be entertaining, and it gives them just something more positive, shows them that there's purpose to their life, that they can grow in their passions, in their talents. And I just think that, yeah, presenting those opportunities more would really, really be helpful. Within the region in general, not just Iran, but yeah.
I was thinking of another thing that the older generation might help us. So when we say older generation, it could be people who are helping us at work, or people who open, like, anything. But I believe the most people who we interact with who are older than us are parents. So maybe speaking a bit about youth and their parents in Egypt, in my country, I would really encourage parents to encourage their children to do extracurricular things. Like, I remember knowing my passion when I started doing things outside of education and school, because this is in our culture, and I'm sure many of yours too, and maybe this is very common, but education is the most important thing ever, which is very important, but we need to give space for other things, because this is where children realize what they're good at, what they love, what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
So my parents did a huge, great job in teaching me that. Actually, my father used to tell me that if you get more than 80%, I'm going to ground you. And I'd be like, what? And then he'd tell me, I want you to use that 20% in other things. And if you try to pour all your heart in bringing, like, in getting the 100%, you're killing yourself. So please don't get more than 80%. So this taught me to see things differently, and I know this is not normal and not general, but I want to, like, help, like, speak loudly and say this is what makes your children flourish. And if you want to figure out who we really are, we need to be let loose, and definitely, like, ground us first in, like, the morals and who we are, and keep track with us and be our friends and help us do so. But even if it feels weird to let your children do crazy things, it's that time for it. Um, and they would want to thank you more and honor you more for doing so, so they would get closer to you. Like, it's a complex.
It's very empowering. Like to feel empowered by your parents is a very good position to be in at a young point in life, because then your mind, the horizons of your mind are open, they've expanded, you can take challenges, you can take risks, knowing that your parents are there supporting you. And I think having more parents support children would actually be like amazing. It would be really amazing.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say maybe it's not as easy as we think it is because our parents maybe were brought up in a certain way that they can't think otherwise and they think what they're doing is the best thing they can pour into us. But like maybe if they hear us, me and Iliad and the younger generation trying to tell them like a little thing, a little stuff, like opening a space for us to tell them what we really desire and them figuring out somehow to make it possible for us in the healthiest way might change the how we think about it and how they think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like opportunity gives you the space to explore your passions, your likes, your dislikes, your gifts, your God-given gifts, right? And how you can best kind of contribute to society. And without education, without opportunity to explore passions, so many young people in the region are missing out on that, right? Which is huge and obviously devastating for those individuals. I want to talk a little bit about faith or the faith that young people have in the region. And how do you feel that young people are kind of exploring these questions of identity and faith? And is there a bit of a kickback, do you feel, against kind of maybe parents' and grandparents' generations' way of doing things? Is there a pushback against religion in general? Or is it more about kind of the ways of old and what feels maybe doesn't relate to, or they don't resonate so much with it? Just curious to know what your kind of perspectives are.
As you know, generation of hope, as it says, the generation of hope, we try to give the generation hope and try to really support them. And one thing that is like really important is like in Iran, because of the Muslim background, I don't want to be against other religions or everyone thinks how they think or how they believe, but the Islamic Republic of Iran, how they're forced religion into you, they're forcing praying 5 times a day into you, and these trust me, it's not good after 5 years, after 10 years, after 15 years, when this is forced into you, when hijab is forced into you, or when you don't even want to be Muslim, but you need to. That how do I say it? That weakens your character and weakens the ways you think. And also, if you want to compare, then when they think all the religions are the same, they think. Because Christianity is not a religion, it's not just how you follow just a certain way, a certain faith. It's like the way you follow Jesus, and we try every day to become closer and be like Jesus. Obviously we are human and it's different, but just the relationship to Jesus is obviously something else. And many young people in Iran don't understand that, and that's what we trying to do with our program. We trying to support them, we trying to give them hope and tell them that this is completely something else and there's nothing forced, or if you do that you're gonna end up in hell, if you do that you're gonna this. And this is really important thing, because if that's forced into you, you just say, oh, you know what, I don't want none of them, and you just give it up.
Yeah. I think it's such a beautiful point, right? That Christianity obviously is an organized religion, right? But I think many Christians don't necessarily resonate with it in that way. It's more about relationship, right? And you can't force somebody into a relationship. And of course, God doesn't force us into a relationship. It's all it's all about our free will, and we choose to enter that relationship with him. But there's something really beautiful about that, and it's really interesting to hear, I guess, maybe in a context where you've been really forced into a relationship that you don't necessarily feel that you don't resonate with, but it's not even up for negotiation. That really open I don't want to say soft, but gentle invitation, that
It's like,
welcoming invite.
you know, when you like talking about this, many Iranians say that as an example. For example, this pen, if I offer it to you, you can say yes, you can take it, or you can say no. And Jesus is the same. So we can accept Christ as someone who went on the cross for us to relieve our sins, to get the eternal life, or you can say no. But in that Islamic regime, it isn't like this, and they give it to you. Either you take it, or you take it, and if you don't take it, then you get persecuted. So it's really extreme, and I hope for Iran's revolution. I really have hope that it will change soon, and I also want to let the other people know from other audiences, from other countries, that we need these prayers, because it's really extreme and it's really hard, especially for young people in this country.
Absolutely.
Tia, I was thinking about the show that you present in his image, and obviously it speaks to what you were discussing earlier about identity crises, and as young people trying to show them that we were created in his image, in God's image. How does the show and the format of the show, the content of the show, how does that speak to young people who are exploring identity, who have an identity crisis and are looking to so many different things to try and give their lives meaning? How does In His Image help achieve that?
That's a precious question. So I think the easiest way of answering this question would be that we first of all try to be in his image first, like we as presenters. So we start by, or we don't start by, but like, I won't take you on the sequence of the episode, but I'm a presenter, that the child, like as if I'm presenting what the children's perspective would be. There's another host with me who's called Karim. He's also like trying to present what these younger generations want to say, or how they act, or how would they have questions, and so on. And there's an older person who we always run to and ask questions, and so the funny thing is that we always try to balance between me and the host Karim. We try to balance between being normal kids who have questions and make mistakes and run with wrong mentalities and mindsets, but also have enough space to, not space, how would I say that? Like we try to be normal and natural, but have in the little bits that Jesus has been shaping within me and Karim in the past years in our normal lives, to try to balance and show them how we can be in his image and we can try to become like Jesus, and we can be normal. It doesn't have to be, you don't need to be supernatural. You can be just a child and have wrong ideas and get them corrected and all of that, but have the hope of Jesus and sometimes feel weak and sometimes feel strong and then run to him, like all of that. So this is my first answer. My second answer is, how do we speak to them? And also my first answer is the most thing I'm proud of, because if you don't live what you try to preach, it's nonsense. So we try and we pray before the episode and we gather and try to make things work together to make it as real as possible. So this is one thing. And the other answer would be that we try to use every single new technology, every single advancement that we could to attract children, because at the end of the day, again, we're competing with the secular world. So we use AI to create videos that tell these children more about biblical stories that have the same of historical, like Moses, like whoever, who had the same problem as what we're negotiating now in 2026. So we try to connect them with the Bible as much as we can, so they can know that this Bible is not a historical book. It's a living truth that still speaks to us till today. So that's another way how and we also try always to reflect on how Jesus deals with that, or how Jesus shaped within us in this episode, in this particular topic, and how, like, all of this. So these are the two main topic answers I have. Maybe.
Yeah. No, that's very helpful. That's
Yeah, amazing.
helpful,
Sounds like you're doing great work.
It's an honor, honestly.
This is maybe a silly question, but do you enjoy, like, what are the most enjoyable aspects of your jobs?
I think for me is reaching out to the young people and just giving them hope, giving them just helping them. That's what I enjoy, like spreading the gospel, speaking about Jesus. And we have also, like how Tia mentioned, obviously it has to be interesting, not just 1 hour you talk and that's it. We have also like different parts, so we have so in season 1 we had character of the week is always a successful person who's Christian, and we talk about their lives, actors, athletes and stuff like this, and who spread the gospel with their success. And we also, now in the second season, we have parts like technology and did you know it's about history, and technology is like about what's going on in today's world. And we also have someone who's like a priest or someone, a specialist who's every week who's coming and talking about these things. And I just enjoy it, to reach out to the people and just give them hope. Just that's the only thing I can do, because and just pray and get forward.
It's super powerful though, isn't it? Hope and of course prayer as well. And I think that leads nicely. What can, if there's something that our listeners are thinking about, what they can be praying for, what they can be doing, what would you like to ask for prayer for generally for your individual programs, or specifically for a particular issue in the region affecting young people? And I think also my question would be, what messages or what stories do you really want people to know about being a young person in the region today? What kind of takeaway would you really like people to have?
Yeah, so about you said about the prayer thing, I can answer it with one word, and that's freedom. If the people have freedom, they can decide, they can discover new things. And as I said, it's not easy to live a life as a young person in the Middle East, especially Iran. And you may say, oh, you can't talk about everyone, but it is just, except the people, the children of the government, and are not much. Other people are struggling, and the inflation is really bad. And it's just, you just pray for revolution. Just pray that 47 years now, I don't know if you know or not, before that it was a king in Iran, it was a kingdom like in the UK, but then with lies and occupying people, the mullahs came, and Khomeini was his name, and he said, oh, you will have free petrol, you will have free, because Iran has like oil and stuff, and you have this and that for free. And the people, they believed it, and the king said, it's all right, I'm not gonna force you, it's democracy, and I'm not gonna force you to, it's all right, but I'm just telling you, once if I go, it's gonna be hard to replace them, like bring me back. And that is like, since 47 years now, the people are struggling, and it gets worse and worse and worse every day. And we just pray, and we go on protests. There are big protests going on every day that, we can win Iran back. And this is not the Iran that people think. Many people may think terrorists, like many terrorists, many, I don't know, poor country. This is not what Iran is. Iran is what it was before, what it was during the kingdom. And we just want to pray that it becomes free, and it changes.
How about for you, Tia?
I have 4 prayers. These are the ones on my mind right now, and I'm sure we need a lot more, but I totally want to support your uh, one need for freedom, and I will keep on praying for that. And I think Egypt needs, or Set Seven staff. I pray that that this is a very weird thing to pray for, but I love this word: the jealousy of Jesus's heart to be poured on us, because I feel like the more we feel that it's none of our business, or it's fine that kids are growing up not knowing more about Jesus and just settling with with this fact, uh, it ruins, because this is not how Jesus feels. He feels like very jealous for every single kid and every single child and every single heart. So I pray that we have more of that, and I think this is what will keep on pushing us to do more and act and learn more and seek more. And this is very important. I pray for open eyes for the staff and for the kids watching us, because I feel like we see a lot, but we don't give chance for our spirits to interact too. So like the Bible verse that says like our spirits can see, and so it can observe way more than our eyes can see, and it can interact with the Lord more and like connect with him more. So the more we give space for our spirits to see more and love the Bible more, I pray that these kids um, have like this new horizon open for them, that it's not all about what their eyes see, but Jesus has so much more and the Lord has so much more to show them. So this eye-opening um, boom to happen. I also pray for heavenly creativity, because I really, really get how we're so limited as staff, we're so limited as humans to think like we know we have the best ideas, or we have the best thoughts for this new episode, to have a lot of new ideas, but we're very limited. So unless the Lord gives us heavenly creativity, we're going to be very stuck, which I'm really praying for. And the last and final thing is to reach more people, because I've been realizing how we speak to a huge um, number of kids in the region, a lot, and more than anything we can ever ask for. But we lost a huge sector of people who are the cool kids, or the like the high social level kids, because they don't want to watch TV anymore, and they don't like this old school ideas. So I pray that we get creative enough to reach as much as children as we could in our country and in our region too, for prayers.
We'll definitely be praying for those. Um,
Hey,
it's been such a privilege to talk to you both today.
Yeah.
And some really important takeaways, particularly those prayers, things that we and our audience can be praying for going forwards. But I think the one thing that I'm really going to take away from today's conversation is about how we can give kind of lip service, and we can talk about young people, and we can say, oh, we want to give more opportunity, and we want to encourage and empower young people, but actually giving them the space and the opportunity and the responsibility. You use the word trust, Ilya, and I think that's such a great word, but it's such a great practical thing that people can do to help young people, right? And it might feel difficult for us in the UK, for example, to think about how we can give children in Afghanistan opportunities and responsibility. And of course, that's not necessarily something that we can do in the day-to-day, but that's absolutely something we can be praying about, right?
Yeah.
And we have 5 really practical, specific prayers. And I think that's really important. Like, we know prayer is powerful. Prayer changes things. And sometimes when you're quite far physically removed from these situations, it can feel maybe a bit daunting or overwhelming to even think about what we can do.
Yeah.
But prayer is such a practical, powerful tool that we have at our disposal, right? So I found it really, really encouraging to hear from 2 people embedded in the youth of the region, how we can practically be supporting and thinking about that in our own lives as well, giving young people trust and opportunity and responsibility. I found it really, really encouraging, and it's just such a privilege to have you both on today. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me down. and yeah, it was really nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything.
Oops, sorry. I cut.
No, I was just thanking you guys.
No, it's been such an amazing conversation. I feel very refreshed, and I don't want to use the term I feel inspired by the young people, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's honestly such a refreshing conversation to have and hear your story, and thank you for the work that you're doing as well, with the programs going on and presenting. That takes a lot of courage, a lot of bravery, and you're doing it, and you're presenting yourselves as the faces of Jesus to some extent, and that's just so beautiful. And I was going to say my take home as well would have been what Ilya had said about trust, but Sophie snatched it from me. So I'm also going to say it links into what Tia had said about the jealousy of Jesus.
Yeah.
We honestly cannot just kind of close our eyes and pretend as if certain things aren't happening, aren't taking place. And it's like if our eyes are being opened and we have that heart, we have Jesus's heart, and we think, what would Jesus be doing in this current era? What would Jesus be doing? Like, Jesus would be active. He would be doing his utmost to ensure that that freedom is experienced, that people are their eyes are opened. And so I think it's really important for us to have that heart, that we don't just kind of ignore and choose not to be aware. I think that's another thing. You have to be intentional about getting the knowledge of what's actually happening, and then you can make better decisions, and then you can choose whether you're going to pray and different things like that. So I'm really grateful for this conversation. It's very beautiful. So thank you to both of you for being here.
Thanks for joining us around the table. If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to hit follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, and maybe even leave a quick review. It really helps others to find the podcast. You can keep the conversation going with us on socials at Sat7UK, or find out more at sat7uk.org. Join us next time as we share more real stories and bold ideas around the table.